All right, so hi everyone. I'm Mary Chitwood. I am the founder and executive director for Robin's Home. I'm an Army veteran. Robin's Home serves veterans within Western Pennsylvania through three of our programs: our Housing for Women Veterans, our Resource Center, and our Drop-In Center, and our Peer Support Program. Today we have Joe Maguire with us with Veterans Overwatch Foundation, and he's going to share with us about some of the stuff that he's doing in our community to help veterans. And at this time, go ahead, Joe. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me. My name is Joe Maguire. I am the founder and executive director of Veterans Overwatch Foundation. Essentially, we aim to fill the gaps left by VA and community resources that aren't there for veterans. One of our biggest things that we do is relocation services. So if a veteran is coming out of a homeless program or coming out of a domiciliary or a rehab facility, we will meet the veteran at various different locations, being Veterans in Need in Butler, the Blessing Board, and we also have our own warehouse where we have furniture. We'll pick up furniture for the veteran. They'll go in, pick it out, and we'll bring it to their home or their new home and help them get all set up and settled in. So that's one less thing they have to worry about. A lot of these veterans coming out of these programs don't have a driver's license, so it's hard for them to access a vehicle to go to these resources and pick up furniture. So that is our largest program, and we cover the Butler VA catch basin. So that is Butler, Armstrong, Lawrence, Mercer, and Clarion counties. Some of the other programs we do coffee socials the first and third Fridays at the Mental Health Association in Butler. We also do one at Deshaun Place. We're involved in vet court. A lot of our volunteers to help move need community service hours through vet court. So we help them get community service hours. They help us move veterans. So we sponsor the Hope is Dope program at the VA. The VA provides the location. BC3 provides the education, and we provide the books and material for that program, the Hope is Dope. We've done it there 3 times. Hopefully going forward in the next year, depending on funding and things of that nature, we'll be able to continue that on. I think that pretty much sums up I mean, again, and I always tell people, if you have a crazy situation, call me. If I can figure out a way to fix it, I'm going to do it.
It's been great having that relocation services because before we didn't have anything like that. So I would get the truck from RAPS and then try to find people to help, because a lot of the veterans that we do serve through our programs, they do not have a license, or they have a license, but because of their income, they can't afford having their own vehicle. And you were also in the military. What branch did you serve in? What was your job?
I was Army. I was field artillery and nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare.
Where were you stationed?
I was primarily I was in Fort Sill. I did some time at Fort Drum as well. I served over in Iraq. We were part of and I know I'm starting to show my age when I say we were part of the invasion force, because that went on forever. But we were behind the 3rd Marines. We were the first group that crossed the Iraqi border there. And when I meet younger veterans, they're like, "Wait, you did what? You were there in the beginning?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm getting old."
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that long ago, does it?
That's right. It doesn't.
Yeah, I was stationed at Port Irwin, California. Did you ever go to NTC for training?
I did. 29 Palms.
I was op 4. So that was on the op 4
right.
side. So we're in the desert all the time. Training units. What inspired you to get involved in supporting the veteran community?
So, essentially, I have PTSD. I didn't manage it so well. I used alcohol as self-medication. And when things got bad, my family got involved and said, "Hey, we got to do something about this," So I did. I ended up in the domiciliary. And that's kind of what I needed to give myself a reset, if you will, to deal with my mental health, stop self-medicating, using what modern science has to help me with. And while I was in the dom, this is actually how we call it Operation Planning Roots, the relocation services started. 2 of my roommates in the dom, neither one had a driver's license. They were getting out of the dom. VA found them housing, but they had nothing to put in the house, and they couldn't get it there. So right after I got out of the domiciliary, I rented a U-Haul and we moved. We went to VIN, got their stuff, and moved them in. And I mean, essentially, that's how Veterans Overwatch started.
And then for like our viewers that aren't familiar, the domiciliary is an inpatient drug and alcohol program that is at the VA. So a lot of the VAs across the nation have these programs for our veterans who are struggling with substance use disorder. And typically that they're there, but they can be up to 6 months.
Right.
And then in Butler County, we have a Butler County Veterans in Need program, and we have a warehouse that people in our community donate furniture and household items to. And our veterans in our catchment area can go to this warehouse and access free furniture and household items. So that's been a really good, that's been here forever now. I mean, we've
Yeah.
always used them.
Yeah.
And they can get in there like every week to get stuff. So there's not a long wait for them. It's a pretty easy referral process. The referral agency just fills out a form, and then that veteran takes that with them when they go to the warehouse to get the items that they're in need of.
Yep. And he's there Wednesday evenings from 4 to 5:30. And then he does one Saturday a month. I'm not exactly sure on that Saturday if it's a rotating Saturday or something like that, but he is there one Saturday a month from like 10 to 4, I believe.
We refer a lot of guys to you now, and gals. What do you think is one misconception people often have about veterans?
I think the misconception, and a lot has changed over the last 10 years, if you will, but a lot of people have this conception that when you go in the military and if you're deployed or whatnot, you come back this crazy veteran. And don't get me wrong. I mean, some of us, some of us are crazy. We, but we need that second chance. We need that mental health help and other stuff to get us back into society, and that's truly organizations like yourself, myself, VA, that's what they're there for, to do that and change that conception that, he was in the military, stay away from him, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think like as a woman who served in the military, that's one thing like has been an uphill battle. I think even starting like when we started the nonprofit Robin's Home, we only did housing for women veterans at that time 5 years ago. And it's for us is like getting people to see that a veteran is not just a man who served, but also that women served, and that for men to have like transitional housing opportunities, but the women who served didn't have that in our area until we started Robin's Home. And then a lot of them that do have transitional housing, they only serve the single women and they won't accept their children. So
correct.
We take their children too. So I think for the misconceptions that for me about veterans that women are in the military too. And
absolutely
they have the same opportunities as their male counterparts. In our area, I think in the last 10 years, there's been some improvement in that. I think we still have some like more work to do. I would like to see the VA doing more in the community to engage the veterans. I think that would really kind of help encourage veterans to like re-engage with the VA. I know through our work, we come across some veterans that have had bad experience at different VAs that they have gone to. And I think the one that we have in our community at Butler, I think they do a pretty good job with working with the veterans and helping them. And I think it helps too because we're a smaller VA compared to like maybe Pittsburgh or bigger cities. But I would like to see the VA doing more events in the community to engage veterans, to get them more involved in the VA, because there is a lot of help that veterans can receive through the VA, not just like the medical, but mental health, vocational rehabilitation, compensated work therapy. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch as we're talking, but I would like to see the VA more involved in the community and not just you have to go there,
No, I agree 100%. And I think you're right that the VA here in Butler is much different than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, you're just a number. Unfortunately, I have brought many veterans to the Pittsburgh VA emergency room, and it's just a different environment. When you bring a veteran to the Butler VA, they're like, "How can we help you? What can we do?" The Pittsburgh VA, there's just so many people there, so many veterans there.
And then like I don't think a lot of veterans know, like even at the Butler VA, you can do a walk-in for behavioral health. You can do a walk-in for primary care.
Correct. Absolutely. Yep.
You don't have to worry about like if you're in a crisis, just do a walk-in. and say, I need to see someone in behavioral health, or, I need to see somebody in primary care. And you don't necessarily have to like have an appointment right then to be able to
Right.
get that help that you need.
And here's the funny thing. You're absolutely right. A lot of veterans don't know that. I didn't know that until about a year ago. I didn't know that there was an urgent care at the Butler VA till about a year ago. But that's an awesome resource. They're there from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and you just walk in, go to central scheduling there, and you can see a provider that day.
Yeah, and then the veterans, like, I had to go to Med Express over the weekend, and if you meet the requirements to have the VA cover that, you can go to Med Express, give them your VA ID card, and let them know that's what you're there for, because the VA is not open during those hours. Maybe you don't need to go to the emergency room. You need some type of stuff. So, they can even use Med Express in the community whenever they can't get into the VA.
Yep.
And a lot of veterans, they need to know too that, if the VA can't schedule your appointment in 30 days, then you can request care in the community.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that's something we'll probably discuss more in detail on another one of these Zoom meetings. So let me ask you, do you have any like success stories from the work that you do with veterans that you'd like to share? Is there anything that stands out to you?
I mean, there's one. You always love the warm and fuzzy stories, because unfortunately, a lot of the stories aren't so warm and fuzzy when you first get them. And by the time we get involved, the veteran is usually in crisis. Nobody comes to you before and says, hey, I think this is going to happen. It's when it's happening. We had up in Mercer County, we worked with the VA with an older couple. He was, the veteran was, he had handicap. He needed a wheelchair, needed this. The apartment he was in, he was living in a third floor apartment, which makes it no elevator, makes it really hard for him to get up. So he barely left the house anymore. We were able to work with VA. They got him through the housing authority up there, a 2-bedroom, first floor apartment that was handicap accessible. And, I've checked in on them a couple times, and I mean, just the difference in quality of life that he is able to get around and get out, and things like that. And I mean, that's truly, yes, I focus on veterans who struggle with or are recovering from substance use disorder, PTSD, or homelessness. But any veteran that needs help relocating, we're there for. And this one was awesome, because now this gentleman's engaging in the community again, and he's essentially gotten his life back. And we really didn't do anything. I mean, we went to his house, took his furniture and stuff out, and set him up in a new place. It wasn't a lot of effort from us, but it changed this man's life.
Yeah, we see a lot of the older population that are, becoming homeless, fixed income, maybe not a lot of family supports, and then mobility issues, and being able to find a place for them that can accommodate them because of their mobility issues. So that's definitely some areas that in our community that with housing is a barrier. What advice would you give someone considering joining the military? Go Air Force.
That's right.
Go Air Force.
Make sure
and go officer.
That's right.
Don't be the grunts.
That's right. My son is 21 and my daughter's 19. So a lot of their high school
are they in the military?
They are not.
Oh, okay.
They are not.
My daughter's 17. I tell her to do the Air Force.
There you go. So and a lot of their friends are like, well, I'm thinking about joining the Army. What do you think? And here's the biggest thing I can tell you. If you're going to join the military where you can find a job in the civilian world.
Yeah.
Because for me, last time I
checked,
there wasn't any howitzers running down the road. I mean, you can't join the local howitzer squad in Butler. It just doesn't exist. And I mean more like the NBC. I guess it could have gone law enforcement, that kind of stuff. But if you're going to go into the military, find a job that equates in the civilian world.
Yes,
it makes your transition a lot easier.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We need field artillery. We need infantry. We need that kind of stuff. But
But it is right. And a lot of people that were in the military, and they did a long time in the military, but then depending on what their MOS job was, a lot of those skills do not translate into the sector. Definitely for infantry, your tankers. I was supply, in a motor pool. I guess if I could go into like a warehouse setting, I'd, do fine.
Right.
But
Right.
then I did that for a part of my enlistment, and then I was the armor.
Right.
So, I mean, when I come out in the civilian world, what place needs me to take care of their arms room and fix their weapons?
Well, hey, I don't know. I mean, there's,
You know?
you have a couple gun shops around. You should have started your
Yeah.
own gun shop.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that might be a good idea. We go in on it together, Joe.
There you go.
What are any current veteran issues that you're particularly passionate about?
Right now, I think my main focus is, obviously, like I said, the operation planning routes is our biggest thing. But I have recently joined the Butler Transportation Group. It's a committee, because I think one of the biggest barriers for veterans is transportation.
Yes. Yeah.
And here in Butler, you have the bus, you have plenty of ways, but once you
Butler's
start to
rural though. Butler's really rural, and like with the public transportation we do have, they have limited hours. They don't run on Sunday.
correct.
They finish early on Saturdays,
Right.
and it's not like it's running every 30 minutes. You could be
Correct.
waiting an hour, for the
Yes.
next bus. We did just receive a grant through United Way of Southwestern PA for transportation. So
Nice.
And so through that, we can pay transportation costs if they need to get to employment, they need to get to a doctor's appointments, they need a bus pass. We can buy that and provide that
Nice.
to them. So we'll be rolling that out. So I'll send you that information. So if you ever work with them, just refer them to us, and
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
can help them with that. And maybe that's something you
Absolutely.
can pass on to the transportation committee.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think transportation is the biggest issue.
Yeah, and
for
we
veterans.
don't have a lot of like Lyft or Uber options here either.
Correct.
And the Butler VA catchment, the other counties that fall under that are pretty rural, compared to like where we're at, Butler. So transportation has been a huge barrier since I've been back.
I mean, you go into Armstrong or Mercer counties there. I mean, even Lawrence County, and the big thing is, well, how's a veteran going to get there? And I have, matter of fact, I'm working with a veteran now that's in Mercer County that, needs furniture, this, that, and the other thing. He doesn't have a way to get down to us. So what we'll end up doing is we'll end up going up there, picking them up, bringing them back to the warehouse.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that's something that we do, but it's, it would be more convenient for the veteran if they had a means to get down here.
Well, let me know. We probably could help facilitate that. And then I think too, like a lot of the jobs that we have that are like factory jobs that are well paying, full-time benefits, they're not on our bus line.
Correct.
So with that grant that we received, we'll be able to help facilitate transportation for them to get to work for like a specific amount of time, in the hopes that then they'll start building rapport with the co-workers and start ride sharing with them. So then that way we can get veterans gainfully employed, and help them, stay out of homelessness and be able to continue just to take care of themselves and do what they need to do to support themselves and their family. You're working with somebody who needs transportation. We have a gentleman that we use. He's a veteran. He has a transportation company. We've used him for years. He's phenomenal.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I believe I spoke to him.
Doc?
Yeah, yep. He
Yep,
had called
that's
me. He
it.
had called
Yes.
me a couple weeks ago and said, well, if you need me, let me
Great
know.
guy.
So, yeah, he's in my contacts now.
If you could change one thing about veteran support services, what would it be?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Truly, I think the politics behind it and the requirements behind it. I mean, I've worked with veterans that served their country. They were deployed. They have some sort of mental health issue, and they've turned to drugs, and they were kicked out of the military because of drug use or alcohol use. And now they have that other than honorable,
yes.
And then the VA says, oh, well, we can't help you.
Yeah.
So, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of VSOs out there that are working to change that, because society realizes, okay, maybe we shouldn't have kicked him out of the military because
or gave him a general, or gave him or she a general.
Correct.
Because then, they can still get the help that they need. But yeah, because I've worked with a lot of veterans that same situation. They were in for 5+ years, phenomenal service, and then they got diagnosed with mental health, and The military, you're really not encouraged. When I went in 2003. You weren't encouraged to go to sick call. You're supposed to suck it up, keep it moving.
That's right. Yeah.
Chain of command said if we wanted you to have feelings or a family, we would have issued you to it. Issued.
That's right.
So, you have veterans that where like I think there's a lot of shame or fear, like, oh, I better not say anything because am I gonna be kicked out or I'm gonna and then just like I'm supposed to be strong, supposed to be this soldier or
Yeah.
and be able to handle this stuff so they don't go and get the help that they need. And then they turn to a lot of substance use to help manage or cope with those symptoms. They get in trouble while they're in and stuff like that. Even I've had them where the unit put them in treatment and then they had a relapse and then they got discharged and then they got the
Right.
other than on and they had
Correct.
long like good service up until that point. And so
Correct.
then when they come out, it's really challenging. You can't just get them into the VA to get that help because of that discharge. Now you got to wait for
Correct.
the discharge to be changed, and that's not an easy thing to do, and that's not a guarantee. And
Right.
even doing a service connection claim, because of the mental health that maybe it was a result of their service, that's a process as well. So
Right.
when we can't get them into the VA for the care that they need, and I know they have the Compact Act, but if you can meet check all the boxes, but if you're not in an acute mental health crisis and suicidal, they're not going to be able to give you that 90 days of mental health care.
Right.
And I feel like with that, shouldn't we be trying to prevent that person becoming suicidal in an acute crisis before we could say, yeah, we can help you through this Compact Act?
Yeah, I agree. It's
17
we're
veterans committing suicide a day. I mean, mental health there's a lot of people that need mental health care, and it's in the community. You can't just do a walk-in and get set up with meds right then.
Right.
We use the Butler County Community Health Clinic because they can get them in there pretty quick to see a provider to start medicines while we get them connected to another place in the community. But even in the community, you have to do 3 therapy sessions before you can see a psychiatrist. So to be able to take them into the VA, to do a walk into the VA for behavioral health is so much more convenient and faster to get them back on meds or, address any mental health crisis or try to prevent a mental health crisis. So when you see other than honorable, and then you look at their DD 214 and you're like, well, you got all these awards, so
correct.
So yeah. And I think too, like support services, I guess I always look at there's so many of us providers in the community that serve veterans, and we all have different areas that we bring that we can help that veteran in. And I would think we should all work together to meet the need of that veteran, that it's not a competition. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I think we get focused on, we got to spend the money down, then what is best for that veteran that's sitting in front of you. Some veterans aren't ready for SSVF. So for those that don't know, Supportive Services for Veteran Families is a VA program that nonprofits in the community can apply for this grant funding. And it pays security deposits, rental assistance to get veterans housed, or for veterans at risk of becoming homeless due to an eviction, they can pay those arrears to keep them housed. And some veterans aren't ready for SSVF. Some veterans are coming out of treatment for mental health or substance use or whatever led to their homelessness, and then they don't have income. SSVF might not be, the thing they need right then. Maybe they need a transitional housing program to get stable, build up income, work on these other barriers that led to the housing, and then use SSVF. Because with SSVF, they sign that lease. So once that financial assistance ends, that veteran is responsible to make that rent. And if that veteran can't make that rent, then eventually they're going to be evicted, and most likely through a magistrate court. And then that's another barrier for them to get housing again when they have an eviction on the record.
And not only that, but you only get SSVF once every 2 years. So if they can't get their stuff together within that 2 years and they get evicted, they don't have that option.
So I definitely think, it would be nice. Maybe that's something you can do. Like, even if it's once a month, we do a Zoom meeting with all the providers in our community, to say, like, what can we do to help your veterans, or what is it that you're in need of?
Right.
We're there to support each other to ensure that the veterans get the services that they need. That would be my one thing I would change.
Yeah, no, I agree. We are, the dumpster has to be on fire before we can do anything. I had a veteran that got evicted from his home, but the way the sheriffs did the paperwork, SSVF wouldn't cover anything. So now he had to physically be homeless for 24 hours before they could do anything.
Or a veteran loses their job and they know, I cannot make rent December, right? We're in November.
Right.
I can't make rent December. I lost my job. I'm waiting on unemployment, and that takes a while. And I understand the veteran's trying to get proactive. And unfortunately with SSVF, you better have an eviction notice before they can intervene, because then and the eviction notice shows that this is a housing crisis,
Correct.
So I understand that I worked that grant for years before I started the nonprofit, so I get the reasoning behind it, but that just puts that puts additional stress on that veteran.
No, I agree. Definitely, if I could change one thing, like you said, it would be the politics and how we're reactive instead of proactive. With our programs and services.
Yeah, I agree. We got a grant through Cigna. We get the funds in January. So with that, we have housing stabilization funds. So we can pay security deposits, rental assistance, transportation as well, especially if it's housing related. So you got people need to get furniture or go to job interviews. Maybe they have CMP exams, right? Because that's going to part of sustaining their housing. Then we can assist them through that grant with those. So then I'm excited about that because I think it'll cut a lot of the red tape when it comes to trying to go through other programs. And if like we need to put them in a hotel, we know like they're going to be housed this date, but we need to put them in a hotel for now, then we could use those funds also. That'll be coming in January because that's a big one now, like hotel stays. There's not a lot of places. I guess a Soldier On, like the SSVF, they can pay for hotels through that grant. But sometimes you got to put a veteran in a hotel while you work on permanent housing or transitional housing, because a lot of times our transitional housing beds are all full. So I think that we need more transitional housing.
Well,
to meet the growing population of veterans that are in need of.
I agree with that.
All right, I'm going to do these rapid fire questions now. This will be fun. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I don't sing karaoke. You don't want to hear me sing.
I would think mine would be Umbrella by Rihanna or Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks.
All right, that's a good one. Everyone sings that one,
Pizza or tacos?
Pizza all day long.
Tacos for me. And if you had a superpower, what would it be?
I don't know, man. If I'd like to freeze time.
Me too. Like when you're overwhelmed and you need to get caught up, like I need to hit a pause button.
That's right.
And that way I can get a little bit caught up and then unpause everything. Now I'm ready to take on more.
Exactly. Yeah. Be able to freeze time. There was a show when I was younger. I forget the name of the show, but the girl in the show, the daughter, she was able to put her fingers together and freeze time. She was part alien or something. I forget what it was, but I always think of that like, man, if I could just go like this, freeze time to get more things done, that would be wonderful.
Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? I guess the current favorite TV show would be Fire Country.
Oh, that is there a new season on?
There is.
Finally. Oh, I didn't know there's a new season. I'm going to have to watch that. What am I watching? Irrational is on Peacock. And then Found and Brilliant Mind. He's a doctor, like a neurologist. That's a good one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, those are mine. Coffee or energy drinks?
Coffee.
Coffee all day. Definitely coffee. I'm already an anxious person. I think if I drank energy drinks, I'd probably crawl out of my skin.
There you go.
I used to, back in the Army, we drink Amp or Monsters or Red Bull.
Right. Yeah.
I can't tolerate it anymore. Would you rather have a beach vacation or a mountain getaway?
Definitely mountain getaway. I'm not a big beach guy.
I'm torn on those. If I had to choose one, I'd go with, I guess, beach. And then
my wife would go with the beach option all day long too. But
if you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Wow. I don't know. I guess beef. I mean,
that's a good. I'd go with chicken. I'd have to go chicken.
Go, the red meat.
I have to go chicken. Are you cat or dogs?
I have 4 dogs, 2 cats, 9 chickens, and a fish tank. So you take your pick.
I have 2 cats and a dog. I had Bailey. Bailey was Robin's dog that passed. That I named the nonprofit after her dog. And then I got a cat, and then I adopted another cat from somebody else. So I'm not taking anybody else's animals in.
There you go. Yeah, I hear it.
Early riser or night owl?
Night.
See, I'm not even a morning person, but I'm up early. So I start early. So that way I'm not working till real late at night. Yeah. All right, Joe. Well, many thanks for you.
And not a problem. Thanks for having me on.
Sharing the work that you're doing in our community to help our veterans. It's been great getting to work with you and being able to finally have some relocation services for our veterans, because that has been an area that we have lacked tremendously in. So, and I'm excited to see what else you and Veterans Overwatch does in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you much.
You're welcome. Bye, Joe.
Bye-bye.